chemical reactions and equations. We have next question. It is translate the following statements into chemical equations and then balance. The first equation we have hydrogen gas combines with nitrogen to form ammonia. Solution to this is H2 hydrogen gas combines with N2, it is nitrogen gas, to form NH3 ammonia gas. Here we have two atoms of nitrogen and here we have one atom of nitrogen and ammonia. So to balance the number of atoms of hydrogen, we'll write 2 here. Now it's 2 atoms of nitrogen, and on the product side we have 2 into 3, 6 atoms of hydrogen. So to balance the atoms of hydrogen on reactant side, we'll write 3 here. So this is finally balanced equation. The next statement is hydrogen sulfide gas burns in air to give water and sulfur dioxide. Hydrogen sulfide gas H2S burns in air, that is burning in presence of oxygen, that is a gas, to form sulfur dioxide, that is a gas, and water H2O, that is liquid. On product side we have 2 plus 1 3 atoms of oxygen, and on reactant side we have only 2 atoms of oxygen. To balance them we have to take even number of atoms of oxygen on either side. To do so we multiply H2O by 2, that makes 4 atoms of oxygen on the product side. And if we see here number of atoms of hydrogen, we have 4 atoms of hydrogen on product side, and on reactant side we have only 2 atoms of hydrogen. So we multiply it by 2. Now we have 4 atoms of hydrogen on either side. Now we see in H2S we have 2 atoms of sulfur. To balance sulfur on the product side, we multiply SO2 by 2. That makes 2 atoms of sulfur on either side. Now if we see the atoms of oxygen, we have 4 plus 2, 6 atoms of oxygen on product side. To balance them from reactant side, we multiply oxygen with 3. That makes 6 atoms of oxygen on reactant side as well. That is balanced chemical equation. The next is barium chloride reacts with aluminum sulfate to give aluminum chloride and a precipitate of barium sulfate. Barium chloride is BaCl2 aqueous solution that reacts with aluminum sulfate. It is Al2 SO4 whole thrice aqueous solution to form aluminum chloride AlCl3 aqueous solution and barium sulfate BaSO4, that is a precipitate in the form of solid. On reactant side we have 3 sulfate groups in aluminum sulfate. To balance the sulfate groups on product side, we multiply barium sulfate by 3. So we have 3 SO4 group on either side. Now on product side we have 3 barium atoms. To make them equal to reactant side, we may multiply BaCl2 by 3. The barium atoms are equal on either side. Now we see 3 into 2, 6 chlorine atoms on reactant side. So we balance them to the chlorine atoms on product side. We multiply AlCl3 by 2. It makes 6 chlorine atoms on product side. And finally, if we see the aluminum atoms, we have 2 aluminum atoms on the reactant and product both sides. So this equation is finally balanced. Fourth statement, potassium metal reacts with water to give potassium hydroxide and hydrogen gas. That is potassium metal K, that is solid, reacts with water H2O, that is liquid, to form potassium hydroxide, that is KOH, aqueous, and hydrogen gas. H2 gas. If we see the number of hydrogen atoms on product side, that is 3, on reactant side, that is 2. So we have to make even number of hydrogen atoms on either side. For that, we multiply KOH by 2. That makes hydrogen atoms 4 on product side. Now if we see the potassium atoms, 2 are there on product side. So we multiply potassium by 2. That makes 2 potassium on reactant side as well. And finally, we see here 2 atoms of oxygen on product side. To equal them with reactant side, we multiply H2O by 2. That makes 2 atoms of oxygen on the reactant side as well. And finally, we see hydrogen atoms. We have 4 atoms of hydrogen on reactant side, and 2 plus 2, 4 atoms of hydrogen on product side. So the equation is balanced. The next question we have to balance the given chemical equations. Solution. The first equation we have HNO3 reacts with CaOH whole twice to form CaNO3 whole twice, calcium nitrate, and water. On product side, we have two NO3 groups. To make them equal to reactant side, we multiply HNO3 by 2. That makes two NO3 groups on either side. Now we see the number of hydrogen atoms on reactant side. We have 2 and 2, 4 atoms of hydrogen on reactant side. To equal them, 2 hydrogen atoms of product side, we multiply H2O by 2. We have 4 atoms of hydrogen on product side as well. If we see the oxygen atoms on reactant product side, the number is equal. That is balanced chemical equation. The next equation is NaOH, sodium hydroxide, reacts with H2SO4, sulfuric acid, forms Na2SO4, sodium sulfate, and H2O, water molecule. If we see the number of sodium atoms on product side, that is 2, and on reactant side, that is 1. So we multiply NaOH by 2. That makes 2 sodium atoms on either side. Then we see the number of hydrogen atoms on reactant side, that is 2 and 2, 4. And to make them equal to the product side, we multiply H2O by 2. That makes 4 hydrogen atoms on either side. On the reactant side, we have one SO4 group. On product side, again we have one SO4 group. That is also balanced. And finally, we check the oxygen atoms. Those are 2 in the NaOH and 2 in the water. So all components are balanced. That is balanced chemical equation. Next chemical equation is NaCl, sodium chloride, reacts with AgNO3, silver nitrate, to form AgCl, that is silver chloride, and NaNO3, sodium nitrate. If we see the number of atoms of sodium chlorine, they are same on reactant and product side, as well as when we see the number of silver and NO3 group, those are also same on reactant and product side. This chemical equation is already balanced. The fourth chemical equation here is BaCl2, barium chloride, reacts with H2SO4, sulfuric acid, forms BaSO4, barium sulfate, and HCl, hydrogen chloride. If we see the number of chlorine atoms on the reactant product side, on reactant side we have 2 chlorine atoms, on product side we have only 1 chlorine atom. So to make the chlorine atoms equal, we multiply HCl by 2. That makes 2 chlorine on either side. Now we have 2 hydrogen on either side and 1 barium and 1 sulfate group on either side. So that is a balanced chemical equation. The next question we have to write balanced chemical equation for the following reactions. Solution we have calcium hydroxide CaOH whole twice reacts with carbon dioxide, that is CO2, to form calcium carbonate CaCO3 and water, that is H2O. Now we have to balance this equation. We have one calcium on either side, we have one carbon on either side, we have 2 hydrogen atoms on either side, and we have 2 and 2, 4 oxygen atoms, and on product side 3 and 1, 4 oxygen atoms. So 4 oxygen atoms on either side. So this equation is already balanced. The next chemical equation is zinc solid that reacts with silver nitrate, that is AgNO3, aqueous solution to form zinc nitrate, that is ZnNO3 whole twice, aqueous solution, and silver solid. Now on product side we have two NO3 groups. It has to be made equal to the reactant side. For that we multiply AgNO3 by 2. That makes two NO3 groups on either side. On reactant side we have two silver atoms. We multiply product side silver by 2. That makes two silver atoms on either side. So that is balanced chemical equation. The next is aluminium solid that reacts with copper chloride CuCl2 aqueous to form aluminium chloride, that is AlCl3 aqueous, and copper, that is solid. Now on the reactant side we have two atoms of chlorine, product side we have three atoms of chlorine. So I multiply AlCl3 by 2 and CuCl2 by 3. That makes 6 chlorine atoms on either side. Now on product side I have two atoms of chlorine, so Al would be multiplied by 2. That makes 2 aluminium atoms on either side. And on reactant side there are 3 atoms of copper. So on multiplying copper by 3 on product side, that makes 3 atoms of copper on either side. That is balanced chemical equation. The fourth is barium chloride BaCl2 whose solution that reacts with potassium sulfate, that is K2SO4, whose solution forms barium sulfate BaSO4, that is solid, and potassium chloride KCl, that is aqueous. If we see on reactant side we have two atoms of chlorine, and on product side we have only one atom of chlorine. So we multiply by KCl by 2, that makes 2 chlorine atoms of either side. We have two potassium atoms on either side. We have one sulfate group on either side and one barium atom on either side. So it is balanced chemical equation.